Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 112, and this is a special takeover episode.
Hell yeah.
The ladies are taking over. We've got Laura Morby, we got Rahima, and at some point she'll pop on here. She's getting all of her cameras set up. But guys, this is an unbelievable opportunity. Obviously, you know that Pace and Jamil are out in New York, right?
Yes. Yep.
They're out there for a meeting.
Everything. They're with A&E right now. So having a good time.
There and of course we have Monday here, and don't forget we also have Corbin on the special Corbin cam. There she is. Somehow my voice is not strong enough to wake her up. So yeah, we're just gonna do this thing. And if we do have celebrations, everybody, and I do have to ring the bell, it's gonna be soft here until she wakes up, and then we'll go bananas. But it's pretty incredible. So Laura.
Yes.
It has been an absolute, the last 24 months has been like a huge whirlwind for you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Moving.
Yeah.
TV show.
Yes.
Flip Me coming out,
oh
right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
The everything. Like, how do you balance all this? And you just had this beautiful little baby here that's smiling at me. Come on.
Yeah.
So how do you balance all this? How do you do all this and still maintain a great relationship with Pace, maintain a great relationship with your family, with your children, with everybody?
Yeah. So one of the things that Pace taught me really early on is to combine activities.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously I'm here with this one and I got my little one with me. So we take our kids everywhere.
Yep.
And for better or worse, I guess. But they've been to buy appointments. They've been to all sorts of cool stuff with us. One of my favorite stories is, you want me to do this? The water bottle. Yeah. All right. One of my favorite stories about Asher is when we had a Homevestors franchise, he would go with Pace to buy appointments. Mm-hmm. And on the way there, he would explain what we're doing, what's going on, who we're about to meet. And so Asher went to a buy appointment with Pace, and on the way and then took him into his house, and it's the middle of summer, no air conditioning because there's no power. And Asher's just sitting there dripping sweat. And he didn't say one thing. He just sat there politely, listened. And the seller afterwards is like, I'm so sorry, your son's sitting here and he's sweating. And he was like, oh, it's okay. And so I think it's actually a really positive thing to include them in what we do.
Sure.
So they understand, and they won't ever be afraid to talk to anybody.
Yeah,
right?
That's for sure. I mean, building those skills early on, I mean, I think it's absolutely incredible. I mean, do you guys, so is it just the schedule is wide open? If you're going to go somewhere, you're going to bring the kids?
Yeah.
Or divide and conquer? Like, how does that work?
Well, it depends. Usually, I mean, I usually have them, but it depends if Corbin's Pace's #1 fan. So,
yeah. I
mean, there might be another really big fan out there, but Corbin loves him, so he'll take her with him sometimes. So.
Nice. So you guys are doing this. How are you balancing that with the TV show?
Oh, the TV show.
Because the TV shows, like, how much of that? How much of that is your schedule for real? Because I want everybody out there. Everybody out there is like, I want to do this business, and I want to be successful, and then I want to have my own TV show.
I know.
Let's take a look at what that really means. Rahima's here. That's great. She's popping on. Let's add her to the stream. Rahima, how are you?
I'm so sorry, guys. I had a technical difficulty. How are you guys? It's so nice to see you.
You look great.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Monday. Hi, Brent. You guys look so beautiful.
Are you still in Vegas, or are you home?
No, I'm in Vegas one more night. I come home tomorrow.
That's what's going on.
Okay. Awesome.
It's our Vegas
We're just
gal.
talking about the schedule for the TV show, how much of the week that takes up, and what that means, and kind of what your goal and plan and what kind of the vision of the show is.
Okay,
right?
so
Yes.
I mean, I'm filming 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But on top of that, every morning I have to go check all the projects that we have underway. And then every evening I have to go and either order material that we've decided upon in that episode, or make sure that it's, what was supposed to get done that day is done, because we hand in a house every 2 weeks.
Yep.
So we did 1 month of filming, and then starting in the middle of February, we handed in our first house. And every 2 weeks after that, we have to submit a house.
Incredible. Does that put pressure on you? How do you like
Oh,
it? Do you like the pressure?
It's nonstop pressure. I mean, I'm Jamil's sister, so I know how to work under pressure. But yeah, it's nonstop.
Do you prefer it that way?
Brent, to be honest, between you, me, and all of the Wholesale Hotline group here,
Yep.
I kind of do. I like the pressure.
Well, talk to me about that. Like, why go through all that pressure? Why keep it going? Does it just, idle hands to do the devil's work type of thing? And then,
That's
right?
it. Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't realize that our crew could do a house every 2 weeks. I had no idea. After the first season, now we realize that doing a house every 2 weeks is too easy.
Right.
And we buy an extra couple of houses in whichever area that we're going to be in. That way, when the film camera needs us to slow down a bit so that they can get more footage, we throw them on our other job.
She is telling the truth. Actually, they went too fast. They got mad at us. They made us tear out some of the work that they had already done, right?
Oh, no.
Because we just go. We're like, I call us like the termites of construction. We just go. Before you know it, it's done.
That's wild. Did you start off with flips, Rahima? Or did you start off sourcing deals? Like, how did you become this well-known? I mean, in our market, I mean, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows the product that you do. Everybody copies what you do. And I say this a lot, and this is to all the incredible men out there that are building these businesses and want to do flips and do the design work. I always tell them you need to have a woman design these houses, or it's just going to be a bunch of dudes having man caves all over town. And the market for those is it's just not as big unless you have you make it kind of appeal to a broader audience. So how do you make sure that you do that? And take us back in time. How did you even get going in this?
So Jamil and I first started flipping houses. We actually first started flipping apartment buildings in Calgary, right? So we would take a building, then we would condo it so that each unit became an individual unit now. So now we can sell, instead of one building, we can sell 40 units. And then each of those units had to be renovated to be sold to a retail buyer. So we would acquire the building, do the strata title so that every one of them is separate, then sell them to investors, and then renovate them. So we started doing the renovations and the design work really early. I'd say 15 years ago.
Sure.
And then we kind of carried it forward to here, where we did do some apartment buildings, but we focused on single family.
Got it. And you've just been doing it over the last 15 years?
Yep, over the last 15 years.
And how do you find your deals?
Well, that's all Jamil and Keegley.
Yeah.
Look at this shirt.
Yeah.
Keegley. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So you're on the side of you're getting these deals from wholesalers, essentially from Jamil, whether he's sourcing it straight to the owner or getting it from somebody else, and then you're going in and putting in the design. I mean, you're taking it from there. It's your ball. Run with it.
That's it. It's my ball. I get a house. I get a purchase price. I get a comp that I'm always trying to crush. Right. Jamil and I and Laura and Pace, we call them FOMPs now, because they're just all false comps. Because it's like Jamil will say, "Oh, this house is going to comp out at $699," right? Laura, isn't that what Griswold was supposed to comp out at $699?
Yep, that's right.
What did we sell it at?
Oh my gosh, what are we at?
$799.
Yep, $799.
In fact, our offer came in at $830, and we said, "Hey, how about you give it to us for $799 and put the other $30 in appraisal waiver?"
Yep.
And how much are you gonna net on that?
$170,000.
Ooh.
I
would, I'll kind of do it. We'll kind of do one of these.
Yeah.
Oh, Corbin cam. Oh, she moved a little. She moved a little. Can you see that, Rahima? We've got a
That's
Corbin
adorable.
cam.
He's amazing.
That is awesome. So $170,000, and
Yeah.
you got that deal. Was that from a wholesale deal?
Yeah, it was from a wholesale deal. Jamil picked it up at 500K, or Keegley picked it up at 500K. We put in what we had to put in, and that was actually an interesting one because we didn't have. It was an HOA house. It's in a gated community, so nowhere to do an extension, nowhere to do an addition. So we can't add any square footage.
Right.
That means we're kind of stuck with that comp. But it had these crazy 25-foot ceilings when you walk in the front door. So we built a mezzanine. We gave you a 10-foot ceiling downstairs, and we still had enough room to give you another 10-foot ceiling upstairs, and we added 250 square feet without a single addition or a single extension.
How do you learn this?
You just, you just kind of walk in and assess your situation and say, what can we do here to make this work, to make us make money? And I think this whole season that we're working on now is a lot of bringing the outside inside and, taking what a builder neglected to give you and adding it under roof.
Right. Got it. But I mean, when you started out, did you have a mentor? Did you have guidance? Did you?
Oh, heck no. I'm all trial and error. I made all the mistakes. So, guys, it's great because you can learn from making where I already made the mistake. You don't have to make it, right? You can be like, hey, what should we do here? You don't have to make the same error that we have already made and learned from.
So let me ask you this. You don't have Pace. You don't have Jamil. You have to go out there. You got to find deals. What would you guys do if you were like, okay, listen, I'm going to cut all this off and I'm going to just go out there and I'm going to find these opportunities myself?
Oh, what would I do?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what I already do. Well, Rahima and I are both realtors. If anybody doesn't know, Rahima's actually my broker, which is
all right.
Awesome. So Rahima's my boss, but I love Rahima.
Laura's the boss.
Yeah. So I would 100% utilize Keegley just because they're awesome and it's easy and they have a ton of deals. And I would go and just start comping their lists and make a relationship with one of their dispo guys, which the one that's assigned to me is Ronald Carter. He's amazing if anyone knows him. And that way I'm like $0 out of pocket. I'm not having to cold call. I'm not having to build a team. I don't have an acquisitions department. I've got none of that. And all it is my time. And since we're realtors, we're great compers. And so I would just start trying to find a deal for myself and then go get hard money and get to it. Get cooking on a couple flips for myself.
What if you couldn't use Keegley?
What if I couldn't use Keegley?
Keegley just all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. It never existed. You're just out there. You're starting brand new.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but you want to do flips.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of put it together creatively. Like you understand what you want to like design wise what you want to do. How would you find those deals?
Get on the phones.
Got
That's what I did a long time ago. I actually worked for Kyle Weiloge and I did short sales for him and I called on the NOD list and I love Kyle. If Kyle ever watches this, he probably would never, but if he did, I love you. And he really gave me a good kick in the pants. He was like, here's the NOD list. I'm like, what the hell is the NOD list?
Yeah.
And he's like, just get on, like, start calling. And I'm like,
Will you
okay.
explain what the NOD list is?
Yeah. So it's a notice of default list. So it means that someone's hit 90 days late on their mortgage, but I had no idea.
Free foreclosures, guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and those you can get free from the title company or you can get them other places. So we got ours from our preferred title company. And I just called it every morning and just being consistent. And I didn't even use a CRM at that time.
No.
I was just, to keep the cost low, just
Matt,
get on the
will you
phone.
give me my CRM, please. I'm going to show you the CRM I had for the first $1 million bucks.
See it.
I'll show you my CRM. It's good. How would you go about it, Rahima? How would you go and find deals before Keegley was Keegley? You know what I mean?
I think what Jamil and I used to love to do, and I'll give you an example. We were in Canada, in Calgary. I had my daughter. She was probably 8 months or 9 months old. Jamil and I would drive around in the city where houses had been built on infills. So it was one house, but that lot could be split into two. So that house would be torn down. You'd split the lot into two. You'd build two houses, those infill houses.
Yep.
And we would go in and we would knock on the door. We'd see somebody gardening and we'd say, hey, we're a new family. We're looking for a house. Are you thinking about selling?
Mm-hmm.
And we would say, and they, they'd be like, yeah, we've been thinking about downsizing. Would you accept this as an offer? And they'd say, okay. And we would basically, Jimmy would have contracts in the back of the car and say, you know what, we'll write the contract up right now. And in Canada, you do everything through a lawyer. So we'll open up escrow at a lawyer's office and we'll deposit $10,000 and we have a deal, handshake deal, and we'd write a contract up. So I feel like that was a precursor to driving for dollars.
Yes.
Right. So I feel like I would be in Pace's car and I'd be driving for dollars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, it all starts with how you go out and you find the ugliest houses that you can. And then you start having a conversation with that property owner.
Yep.
And you find out the condition of the property, their timeline to sell, their motivation and their price. You don't just go there and like interrogate them. You go there as a human being, as a neighbor, and say, hey, listen, we want to buy in this area. Can we talk to you about it? Is there any opportunity here?
You got Laura standing in your arms with a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you say no to a woman with a baby?
No, exactly.
I mean, once Jamil figured out nobody ever said no to a woman and a baby, my kid and me were out every weekend.
Yeah. I love it.
And if you don't have a baby, a dog works great too. People will never not answer their door for a dog.
This is my CRM for the first $1 million.
I love it.
This is
1
through 31 every day of the month. I would pull it out. What's today? The 4th. It was the 4th. Boom. I pull it out. These are my leads that I have to talk to today. And then I put them back in based on the conversations that I had. And I literally just used one of these until I created. Can you give me the lead sheet? And you guys can download this at TTP Insider if you want it. But we give these to our students, and it's just like a pad of paper with all these.
Oh, let's get the link in the chat.
Yeah.
TTP Insider.
TTPinsider.com. And this just keeps you organized. I mean, you're not going to go, Rahima's not going to walk down the street with this, and do this. This is more over the phone, right? But it helps you really understand who you're working with and what's going on, the condition, timeline, motivation, price. And just remember, listen, a lead is somebody that's going to sell their house. They're going to sell. They're going to sign a contract with somebody. They're going to sign an agreement with somebody, right? That is a lead. Everything else, guys, get rid of them. Everything else, if they're just wanting you to comp the property, or they're not really serious, or they're not, their timeline is really far out, you either try to shorten that timeline or move on. You got to move on. Right?
Yeah. Time is money. You don't want to waste this. You don't want to waste a second if you don't think it's gonna go somewhere. Absolutely.
That's right.
This is a great question for you, Rahima.
Yeah.
This is something that's so hard for people to do if you're not in construction. So you and I both have been. So let's see, what is your easy button for estimating rehab costs?
It's tougher right now, Steve, mainly because the cost of materials is going up so high. But like a rule of thumb used to be $25 a square foot to do a rehab.
Right.
It was 1,000 square feet. You're going to use 25 grand to renovate that house. So for every 1,000 square feet, you were going to use 25 grand.
Right.
Now that would give you some money towards big ticket items like roofs and windows and HVACs. It wouldn't cover it all. So you would have to say, okay, this is a pretty good house. It's 2,000 square feet. I think it's going to run me 50 grand. Out of that, I might be able to etch out my windows, but I'm not going to have enough to do my roof and my HVAC if that property needs it. I'm going to need another 15 grand. So $65,000 on a 2,000 square foot house.
What do you think it's gone up to now, Rahima?
Closer to 35-ish. Yeah.
Can I put something on the screen? Can we put I'm going to put something on the screen that I kind of run my numbers by, and then you can just pick it apart and look at it. But I basically look at the 3 stages, right? Just a quick little, you need to go in, do some cosmetic. The other one's like, okay, it needs some work. And then the last one's like, oh my gosh, this is like bananas. So this is pretty close to where you were at for the wow, this is bad at $30 a square foot. Yeah. Right. And that's what I look at. I just look at the size of the house, easy stuff, needs work, and wow, this is bad. That's, we just increased this 10 grand this year, Rahima. What's your thoughts there?
No, that makes sense. That's like bang on. That's really what it is. I mean, then if you're going to do things like what we do, where we're bringing in the inside under roof into the outside, or rather the outside under roof into the inside, and we're adding that square footage. Well, now you're adding square footage. So, we did a house last season on the show where we just changed the position of the front door. That's all we did. We changed it from a side front door. We pushed out the front of the house, and that little bit of square foot cost us, I don't know, $3 grand to do, because there was already a concrete pad there. All we had to do was kind of reframe and put up some roofing material. But it was $40,000 in an ROI because we added square footage. So you have to look for these hacks, right? Where can you find a place where you can bring like a small vestibule under roof and add some square footage? Because square footage prices have never been like this. I don't ever recall $300, $400, $500 a square foot in your.
I thought our market would break. I honestly thought it would break at $200 a square foot.
Right.
I was like, this is crazy. Now it's $500 a square foot. I mean it is banana. I mean,
Laura and I just listed a house in Maryville. What is that house per square foot? Let's see. It was, what did we say it was? 1,390 square feet? Is that what we came up with? Or 15? What was it, honey?
I think it's.
Do you remember?
Let me pull it up real quick.
While you're pulling that up, Jose, yes, this is just for the median price. This isn't super luxury. This isn't something that you're going to be putting in $150,000 kitchen into this type of thing. This is for the bread and butter fix and flip properties. Now, obviously, if you're in higher end markets, you're going to have to adjust that. You're going to have to adjust that probably by $50K each one, just to make sure that you have enough budget in there for your estimates. But I mean, are you guys adjusting your guys' offers on these things because the potential it keeps creeping up? Like when you're comping these, what are you backing out of ARV? That's going to be a good one.
Well, a lot of these are coming from Keegley. Is that right, Rahima?
Yeah. I mean, they start out with from Keegley. The ARV starts out at a Keegley ARV because they gave us the house. So they're going to be a little bit conservative, but we're adding square footage. We're redoing a whole bunch of things. We don't look like anything like the comp that they gave us.
Yeah.
So we're definitely pushing the envelope.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And this is, adding square footage and doing stuff like that. I mean, that's definitely not what you'd want to do for your first flip.
Maybe not even your first 10 flips. Maybe not even your first 10 flips. Your first 10
That's
flips.
great advice.
Bread and butter all day long till you're starting to, and then ask yourself, okay, if I had the money, what could I have done differently in this house? If I had the guy who could help me frame this in, or if I had what I needed to do for this one, what would I have done differently? Sometimes it'll be nothing, and sometimes it'll be like, oh, I could have done this, or I could have pushed in this Arizona room and leveled out my floor and added that square footage and figured out how to duct this and added another 300 square feet.
Yeah.
Got it. And listen, guys, everybody that is here just starting out, focus on finding the deals. Focus on wholesaling. Get that process down.
Yes.
I am telling you, your first 12 months should be focused on building the systems and the machine to finding discounted properties. And that is the foundation of your real estate business. Everything else gets built on top of that, right?
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure that you focus on that, because if you start cherry picking, then all of a sudden that learning curve of flipping your first house, that's like 3, 4, 5 months before you actually get paid on it.
Yep.
And you're going to go through a lot of headache and a lot of heartache on your first few flips, just picking out the right contractors or subcontractors or paint colors or material that you want to use and fixtures and appliances and all those things.
And you know what? I would always suggest, if you're a wholesaler, when you're wholesaling, I want you to follow the property. Follow the property. When that property goes up for sale, look at the pictures on the MLS. What did they do? Would you have done the same? Would you have done it differently? How did they end up? What did they finish with? And if you have a relationship with your buyer, call them and ask them, hey, how much was your reno? And kind of get an idea of what it is, because a lot of times people think, oh, I left all that money on the table by wholesaling this, but maybe you didn't.
No.
Maybe all that you left on the table was a headache.
Yes.
I've worked with a couple of the biggest flippers here in town. Like they do 200-300. They average $17K a deal.
Yeah.
$17,000 a deal, and I'm averaging 70.
When you have that huge volume of deals that are being done, that big volume of, there's no way you're going to be able to keep your labor and your materials, your labor under a certain amount, because when you have a bunch of people on a job at the same time, it's not as efficient than when you have 1 or 2 trades at the job at the same time.
Yep.
Well,
and when you're working in volume, you have no choice.
Right. Let me ask you this then. How do you make sure that you keep your crews busy enough to where they don't leave you and you got to find somebody else. Because listen, that is a whole bunch of management going on there. That picking the right contractors will make or break everything, right?
Yep.
Right.
So how do you make sure that you pick the right people and keep them busy enough to where they're ready to work on all of your deals? Because that was always what I found real difficult. I've done about 100 flips in my life, and it was always like, oh my gosh, where is he? Where'd he go? It's been like 30 days since our last flip, and my contractor's now gone.
Yeah.
We're too busy. We're doing this. Here's my cousin. He does some stuff. And the cousin comes over. He's just getting started, and he's not good at all. Right.
Always. Yep. Every time.
So,
I mean,
how do you keep it busy, Rahima?
It's tough to say I'm a wholesaler and I also do flips because they're two different hats. You know, it really is. You're either a full-time wholesaler or you're a full-time flipper. And I think when you're trying to separate those two things, it gets tricky. I mean, look, I'm not saying that if you got the juiciest deal on your desk and you're like, I see nothing but potential here and I can make this happen, that you don't do it. Do it. Have fun. Do it. But it's difficult to say, I'm going to wholesale 5 and flip 5. That's tough because it is a full-time running of, you know, making sure that everybody that's supposed to show up showed up and that and that process is going smoothly on every single one of those flips.
Yep.
Will you put Jose Jimenez on here? That is amazing. You read this?
Oh no.
It took a massive action.
It took massive action on that strategy Pace and Laura taught on how to get a deal in 2 hours. I just dispoed 4 deals in a week.
Hell yeah.
Jose, you better put how much you made on there, buddy.
That's amazing. Good job. Good job, Jose.
Corbin Cam? Oh, she's good. Okay.
Still out. I love it.
She's on a different level right now.
I love it.
Wait, let me see.
I want to sleep like that.
Yep. There we go. Oh, she's sleeping too? Oh no, she's up there. By the way, Laura is dressed as me. She's wearing the Jordan. She's got the black jeans and she's got the TTP shirt.
And I got the hair.
Look at this.
I love it. I want one of those uniforms. Send one over.
You got it. Done. That is awesome. That's a great question from Brittany there. Rahima, why did you choose to go into flipping and not wholesaling?
Because my brother's the wholesaler.
Okay, so divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. Yeah, one of us had to do it.
I think that's such a smart, that is what it is. If you focus on what you're great at, then you can really make a difference because you're not scattered all over the place.
Right.
Like a lot of people talk about time being the most valuable asset. It's attention. It's the attention you put to the things in your life.
Yep.
Like you could I'm spending family time. Well, if I'm not watching my kids and I'm like on my phone, that's not family time. Where's the attention at? So when you're looking at, okay, well, I'm going to put my attention into doing the fix and flip, that frees Jamil up to go and find all the deals.
Yep.
And he puts his attention into that. It's fantastic.
Yep. I love it. Yep. I love that and I think, Laura being the retail dispositions and Pace focusing more on the wholesale dispositions works perfect.
Yep. It's awesome. So you're running the cruise, right?
Yep.
You're the ones meeting with them, calling them. Like, what is that? What does your day look like? Like, are you just on the phone?
My day is not. It starts at 4 a.m. and then I'm basically on the phone. I mean, it starts at 4 a.m. I'm out of the house by 5:15. I check out all the houses and then I'm on set starting generally 7:45, 8 o'clock. And they usually keep me till 3 or 4 p.m. But through that, I have to, text, make sure that the guy who's supposed to show up to do the tile has the tile ordered. I've already ordered it for him. He's got everything he needs to get going. He knows where he has to be tomorrow. So it's like constant juggling between what's going on the set and what's going on in reality of the houses.
Yeah. Who made that jacket?
I don't know. I'll have to take it off to check.
Ingrid wanted to know there. That's great. Do you have all right, John, I'm going to answer It's John's question because he's posted it 1,000 times here. So I'll get you. AmericanTracers.com is a great resource for the tough one. Also, if you can't do that, get somebody on Upwork or Fiverr that has a TLO account. And TLO is TransUnion's data part of their company. So they have everything. So there you go, John. You're Your persistence has paid off.
Yeah. Or another thing that I like to do, I mean, us gals are pretty good at this, but look for them on social media.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love
So
it.
that's another good thing to do is look for them on social media, or if there's a secondary property owner on that, you can do that. You could even contact the realtor that sold them the house originally. That's a good way to do it too.
Love it.
So there's all sorts of ways you can find a hard to find seller.
So when you're reaching out to them,
Mhm.
how do you filter out if this is the right one? Because
Mhm.
like if you put in my name, there's 15 of them or something. You know what I
There's
mean?
a
Like,
few of you,
yeah.
So
Just hit them all up.
sometimes you got it, but
Yeah.
actually some of the software that you use will actually pull up some potential locations, so like where
Yeah.
they lived, and so if
Addresses
that
that
pops
they're
up
associated
as
with.
address,
Yeah.
then you know you got the right one.
You can get software that scrapes Facebook, or
Oh,
how do you?
on
how do you-
Facebook, yeah.
yeah,
I
or
usually
Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, I usually look for somebody, I mean, because you know where they live. So, like, say I'm trying to find someone who lives in Chandler, Arizona, then I'll type in their name, look for a Chandler. And then I'll just start, cruising through. And, like, a lot of people do own a property with a spouse or significant other. So then you can see, like, hey, do they have a relationship with that person? Are they talking about this person?
It's like looking into
So-
a mirror. You
Yeah,
know? Look at us.
You guys are like private eyes.
Look
Yeah.
at us.
You guys are like your private eyes.
That's right.
Yeah, you can all. Yeah, if you really want to get to it, yeah, talk to a private investigator.
No, I mean, you guys are like private eyes. Listen
Oh,
to
yeah.
you.
Yeah. I
Check
can
out the
really be
relationship.
a
Ask about
private
the. I
investigator.
love it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Camp outside the door to see if you can take pictures.
Yeah. Pace and I, because like he didn't do like this side of real estate with me originally, because
Right.
I've been doing this since 2009,
Mhm.
and he did it on his own. We didn't come together and start working together until 2016.
Mhm.
So I always worked for other investors, and then finally he was like, "Yeah, I finally got you on my team. Like, this is great." But before, when I would do this for other people that I worked for, when I started doing it for him, he's like, "You're a creep," and I'm like, "Look, I
I'll
found
find
him.
him. Yeah.
I
Oh,
found
yeah.
him, and we bought the house. Like, so being a creep pays off." So
That's awesome. Anthony asks, "Hey, I have a pre-foreclosure lead I'm working on. One person wants to sell, but the ex-wife wants it to go to foreclosure. Any suggestions on how to handle this?" Well, Anthony, there should be very clear lines in the divorce decree if it
Mhm.
is truly an ex-wife
Mhm.
who gets that property.
Yeah.
So that might just be something that he's not aware of. If he owns it, he should be able to sell it.
yeah,
So what I would do is I would put it under contract. I would open up escrow and I'd let title clean it up.
yeah, 100%. And I used
Yeah.
to do this a lot with short sales, because a lot of properties that went up for foreclosure are due to
Mhm.
some sort of pain, and a lot of times that is like a relationship splitting up. But sometimes too, you're kind of being fed the information filtered through the spouse that you're talking to.
Mhm.
So a lot of times it helps to say, "Hey, can I get their phone number as well?" If it's not a violent situation, they usually have their phone number still. But I have negotiated, something with domestic violence as well, which that's, takes a little bit extra,
Yeah.
padding to do. But if they're in foreclosure and somehow their name is still tied to that mortgage, which it usually is, because they're not like, even if the divorce decree took them off the deed, they're not refining the loan and then getting off the loan. So a lot of times all it takes is for you to actually make some sort of relationship
That's
with that other spouse, to see that you're not like, you have no, like, the spouse that they don't like anymore. You're not like exclusively working for them. You're trying to help them, which includes this now other person. And so if you say, "Hey, like, this is going to affect your credit, this is going to affect you being able to buy a house again yourself. Let me help you out. Like, I'm not like, I just met him through cold calling, or I met him through door knocking. Like, I want to help you too." So a lot of times it just takes reaching out to them yourself as well.
We just made 160,000. I'll have to check with Jeremy on the exact numbers. Went through divorce.
Mm-hmm.
They were both on the loan.
Yep.
She had 6 months to refi the house or sell it to
Yep.
get him off the loan.
Uh-huh.
That was 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
She has not made a single payment.
Oh, I believe it. Oh, she just
So
screwed him.
he went to the courts, said this is what's happening. 2 years in the courts, they go, "Yeah, property's yours. Now you can sell it." He's like, Give me 65,000 in Casa Grande and it's yours.
Oh my
Boom.
gosh.
Sold it for 220.
Oh my gosh.
Like that.
See,
Yeah.
and this is a thing too. Like, this is what he just said. Take that story and use that as your own.
Yep.
So just say, hey, at my, like the guy that I've been working with, my investor, Brent,
Yep.
this is what happened. So use that exact story for a divorce situation to kind of like help push people along.
Yep.
So I always love using, I mean, we are all in sales and we all have these crazy stories that will help push somebody off the fence or help you get a deal. Utilize Brent's story, like right now, everyone, no matter where you are in the country, to help these divorce situations and help get it done. Because I mean, how long till he went to court?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah,
So
and
for
it took him 2 years in court.
7 years, his ex-wife wasn't making payments.
We've
So
been
that
following
means
up for 3 years.
that's insane. So his credit is getting dinged every month.
Well, he's paying it.
Oh,
No,
he
he's
paid.
paying the
Oh, that's
mortgage.
even worse.
He
My
paid the
gosh.
mortgage for 7 years.
Okay, so yeah, there are solutions out there, and that's what we're here for. So utilize Brent's story
Yeah.
to like help push some people off the fence and get some deals done. That's
it.
crazy.
Pace and Jamil are watching us at dinner. Hope your guys' meeting went awesome. Can't wait to hear about it next week. Absolutely phenomenal. And I think they got a meetup that they're doing.
Oh yeah, they
Right?
are. Yes.
So they're going to be doing a meetup, guys. Check out their Instagram so that if you are in the New Jersey, New York area, go see them.
Yeah.
See them live. It's worth it. Pace does black magic. He'll show you. He does magic, and it's really, it'll blow your mind. So there you go.
He blows my mind, but I don't know if that is real magic.
I gotta send a shout out to Sasha
What
Moon.
you're talking about, I don't know. There was a good question in there that was about Rahima, where you find your products, and if you use Home Depot Pro accounts, this is a great way for people to understand like how you get a Pro account. I know, but will you share with people
Absolutely. So
volume you have
first,
to
I'm going to send a shout out to Sasha Moon because that's amazing. Good on you. That's just phenomenal. So proud of you. So proud of you. Keep it going. Keep it going. Do I buy stuff from Home Depot? I do. And this is what I buy. I buy lumber, sheetrock, grout, thin set, things like that. I don't buy much of the design, any of the design stuff from Home Depot, but I definitely buy that. And when you go in there and you open up a Pro account, it's not just a Pro account. It's almost like you're opening up. You have to go in and talk to the manager and you say, look, I'm going to be flipping a house, or I'm going to be doing a project. And if you're going to spend over $1,500, they automatically give you a 7 to 10% discount. And that's only if you go and talk to them. So it's set up under your Pro account, and then you're getting an extra 7 to 10% off all of those articles. So I also buy kitchen cabinets and vanities from Home Depot because I can take a big box item and then make it our own, paint, hardware, different hinges, and it looks like a custom kitchen using a Home Depot kitchen. But definitely you want to use Home Depot, and definitely you want to get on their Pro. Another place I go, and I think it's national, is Floor and Decor.
Mm-hmm.
And I make friends with the vendors. So I'll show you or read you a text message that I just got from the vendor at Floor and Decor. And it's like, hey, we just got this material. It's fantastic. It's $1.99 a square foot. And it's, what you always use and what you're normally paying $250 for. How many square feet do you need? What can I put away for you? So if you make these relationships with your vendors, and I'm always talking about that, know your vendor, make friends with your vendor. I know when Edward's birthday is. I know when his kids' birthdays are. I know all that stuff about Edward, and I utilize I use our friendship every day. We're constantly talking, so you become friends with them because you're talking to them every day. So either you're going to talk to them like they're just a salesperson, or you're going to bring them into your circle and make them your friend. And
They're
that's
part of your team. They're part of your team.
They're part of my team. Yeah, absolutely.
And they will hook you up forever. People that are in that business stay in it forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they're telling you new things that are coming out, and what they're what their suggestions are, and when the discounts are going to come, and when to buy and when not to buy. Like if you're going to get into the business of flipping full time, you need to have all these people on your team.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's huge. And you do that at Floor and Decor?
I do. I have a lot of people at Floor and Decor. I usually only utilize 2 or 3 Home Depots. I don't go all over town, so they know me. So if I'm like, hey, this isn't working right, or this, I got a problem with this, or like, just bring it back or forget about it. Don't even bring it back. Throw it out. I'll give you a new one. because they know you. They know you're always there. They'll write it off and give you something and give you a new one. And then where do I buy all my cabinet pulls, lights, fans, all that stuff? Amazon. I buy it all from Amazon. And then I send the things so I send all the plumbing faucets to the plumber's address. And I send all the electrical things to the electrician's address. And now they have the material sitting in front of their house, and they put it in their truck and go. It's not all coming to my house. It's coming to the individual tradesmen.
Yeah. Skip a step, right? There's efficiency there.
Yeah.
There's a ton of efficiency. I'm sure they love it. But you send it like to their office or their house?
I send it to their house.
Yeah.
And then I send a picture of it.
In the morning
and then I send a picture of it to their wife, and I say, "Hey, I just sent this to your house. Let Juan or let Miguel know that this is at the house. They need to take this to this house." And I always communicate with the wife. Always.
Yep. And you don't want to send it to the property address because it can get stolen.
It'll get stolen.
Yeah. And having a warehouse, I mean, some people who are going to be doing flips like we are, even a couple years down the road, you might think, yeah, I'll get a warehouse. But if you're in a city like Phoenix, you're having someone who's coming in having to drop off a hot water heater, who's coming up and picking up flooring. And then you're constantly having to arrange and rearrange to move things out of the way. What Rahima just said is a cheat code. Definitely pay attention to that. Just send it to whoever you have if someone's doing flooring, they can go pick it up from Floor and Decor, but like these plumbing fixtures, electric supplies, send it to your electrician's house because that's where they're getting up in the morning and they're taking off to the job site.
And I'll tell you one thing, if you send your floor guy to Floor and Decor, he's going to waste 2.5 hours picking up that material.
100%.
I'll order all the floor and all the tile in one delivery. I'll pay the $125 delivery charge, and I have it delivered right on site. And now there's I spent 3 hours at Floor and Decor, or they gave me the wrong stuff, or they didn't put this in the order. None of that happens. It's all on 2 pallets on the driveway. Now you guys sort it out.
Incredible. And how far is it you close on that house and then you're ordering stuff? Like, is it the next day? Are you ordering it when you're in escrow to close it?
No, I always walk the property first, and I walk it first by myself, and then, with Abel in about a half an hour after that. And then I kind of go over, hey, I like this about this, or I think we should change this. And then I kind of talk over our ideas and what's our plan here? Can we bring this under roof? What can we do with this one? And then once we figure all that, then I say, okay, let's get going. Let's start framing. Let's do our concrete work. Do we have to move any plumbing around? I don't want to order the material until just before I'm going to utilize it, because otherwise things get stolen, they get lost, they get misplaced.
Yep.
I kind of move in fixtures, and very often, because I have a good relationship with my vendor, I can just call him and say, Edward, this is the job name. Send over 300 square feet of this SKU, or send over 300 square feet of this SKU, and send over 2,000 square feet of this SKU. Put it on a delivery pallet and send it over. This is the address. I don't even have to go down there. It's all on telephone.
But Rahima, supply chain is gross right now, and there's no way that you could do it in a timely manner and everything just goes as smooth as it does, right?
So I won't ever buy something that's not there. So if I have to change my floor, I'll change it.
That's what I was just going to say. Don't get emotionally attached to, like, if you're doing a flip and you're like, I have to have this floor. I have to have this backsplash. You have to be okay with supply chain problems being like, you know what? I'm going to do a different appliance package this time. I'm going to take what I can get.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Just take what you can get. I never think about if they say to me, oh, it's in the port. It'll be here in 2 weeks. Well, that's 2 weeks too late. What do you got right now? I need 2,000 square feet of something you have in stock.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, if we're talking, moving from wholesale to flipping, you really have to be cognizant of your timelines, because that can actually, like, you could kill it. Yeah, you could stick to your budget. You could put out a beautiful product. You could sell it for more than you list it for. But if you took too long, you totally ate up all of your profit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Time is everything with flips.
Time is everything. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is an interesting question right there. Just Anna set it up there. It said, what about permits? Do you avoid properties that you need a lot of permitting because it's just clogging up the whole system?
Absolutely. The last 3 months on this season are going to require a permit. So I'll tell you guys, I'll tell you guys a cheat on something that we had to do last season is we didn't always have time. So the house is finished now, and now we're going back to the city and saying, okay, forgive me, I didn't pull the permit. Come back now. and check everything over and give me my permit after the fact, because permits will slow you down 3 months, 6 months, even a year, especially now with COVID. They all the cities haven't gone back to work, so a lot of them are still at home.
Right.
It's just not as efficient as it used to be. You used to be able to walk in and get your permit and walk out, and now it's like make an appointment and then send it over through email, and then it'll just be in some space in a cloud, and you're hoping and praying every day that this comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the guy, my personal trainer at the gym has been trying to put a patio on the back of his house for 6 months. A patio.
No, it's crazy.
What are we talking about here?
It's like crazy.
He's not adding square foot. He's not doing anything. It's wild. So what happens if you go back and then they go, okay, we're going to get the permit, and then they check it out? Is there anything that they can do after the fact?
They charge you a fine, and the fine is usually a few $100s.
Okay.
And then they go back and they might say to you, well, open up this drywall because we want to see the framing. But what we do is we'll take pictures of everything along the way, and we'll say, okay, hang on. I'm happy to open up the drywall, but here are all the pictures of where we framed. So you can see exactly what I use, and you can see the distance which we framed at. Here's the plumbing before we poured the concrete, so you can see where the plumbing's at. This is the day. This is the concrete pour day. We're documenting every single thing we did via pictures.
Yeah.
And usually that'll that's sufficient for the inspector. But sometimes they might say, well, open up this square of drywall so we can make sure, and we understand that. We'll open it up, and we're very apologetic the entire time. Look, we're sorry. We just couldn't wait. We had to get it done, and generally they'll let us go. They'll make us open a few receps to check the electrical, but otherwise
they don't want a bunch of half-done houses.
No.
They don't want a bunch of vacant houses.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that type of thing.
And that's really it, Brett. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
They don't want a bunch of half-done houses.
Nope.
They don't want a bunch of vacant houses, because that's a whole nother issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah, I love it. So I think this is a good question for both of you guys. So the minimum amount of profit you want to make on a deal, right?
Yep.
This varies all over the country. Everybody runs their numbers, and some of them say, I need the buyers in my area need a minimum of 30% return on their deals. And then some say, well, we just sell any house for retail in San Diego, and people go bananas and they add to it and make a bunch of money.
Yep.
So what is your guys' strategy when you're looking at a specific deal? Is there a certain percentage that you build in for the profits?
Yeah, so we won't touch anything that isn't at least 10% return on our acquisition price.
Yep.
But if it's more, obviously, it's better. But, why even touch it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Brett, I'll tell you what happened. You hit this really early on, and you said sometimes you just need to keep the crews busy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes we'll just take on a job that's close to the job we're finishing, so that everything's sort of there. They're there. And we say, hey, we just picked one up. Go ahead and do the same thing over there. And we know that it's not going to be as profitable as the one we're working on right now. We know that. Abel and I know that. But we'll take it on to keep them busy. So if we're going to make something, we make something. But losing your crew that has been with you for a long time, because as much as they love you, as loyal as they are to you, they have to eat. They have to pay their mortgages. They have their bills to pay. So sometimes we'll take on a job just for the sake of taking on a job, and we throw our hands up in the air and we say, okay, we made 20K. Okay, we're good. We made 20K. We're good. Let's go.
Well, the other benefit there is if you're doing a couple different properties in the same neighborhood, do you guys put out signs like saying we buy houses, or the name of your company, or maybe not with the TV show, but just in general, so that the neighbors are like, well, these guys are doing an amazing job here. I'm going to sell this property that I just, inherited, or my rental property. Maybe they want to give me an offer. Does that ever happen?
Yeah. Jamil and I used to put up bandit signs on all the projects that we were working on. And then and he would get the call. He would field the calls for those. Sometimes
I can work in your disservice too. So Pace and I got a call from one of our flips. Our roofer backed into the neighbor's block wall, gave him his word that he'd fix it. And that was 3 months ago. This is not Rahima's roofer. This is ours. I'm sorry. I'm not going to throw Rahima under the bus. This is 100% us. So our project manager knew about it, but it wasn't ever done. But I'm so used to being on the phone with people that I actually talked him into potentially selling me 2 of his properties, the house next door and another one. And I was like, see, this is why, like sometimes it works not in your favor. So Rahima's right. If you are going to put out bandit signs, like you should just like, don't like put them in the yard of the house you're fixing and flipping. Just maybe say, hey, we buy houses cash, and a phone number, maybe a Google Voice number or something you can track. Just because you never know if you have a neighbor or one of your guys did something stupid, like, put his lunch trash in the neighbor's garbage or something and really tick somebody off.
And that's interesting that you say that, because I generally introduce myself to every one of the neighbors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On the first couple of days, I'll bring donuts. Then I'll say, hey, we're working in this neighborhood. We're right here. We're going to clean up this house. You're going to go to sleep one day. You're going to wake up with more money in your house than you knew was there, because we're just going to crush it when we go to sell it. And so everybody's excited. Everybody's happy. We have donuts together, and people ask me, why do you do that? And I say, because the last thing you want to do is ever upset anybody where you're doing a job. Yep. You want to keep everybody happy. If it's not just for future business, it's so that they're not calling the cops, they're not calling the city, they're not calling everybody on you every day to make your job miserable. They're not stealing your water to fill their pool. They're looking at you respectfully, and you're being respectful to them, and you'd be surprised how far a box of $15 donuts goes.
Yeah. We've even offered to clean up people's yards. Hey, we've got our landscaper here. He wants to take care of your weeds, Yeah. Just something to keep people happy, because you really don't want to tick off the neighbors.
You don't want to tick off the neighbors.
I mean, not just for what I do with my realtor license. When you go to resell the house, you got a mad neighbor and they can scare off potential buyers once you're done, and that stinks. Or, even worse, they could, call the city and have them shut you down.
Yeah.
And then you add more time to your project.
Because honestly, if you're moving a recep, you need a permit. I mean, who's going to get a permit to move a recep? But if the city wants to shut you down, they will.
They'll shut you down. Yeah.
That's right. And just to underline this, guys, just so that you caught that, for all of us wholesalers, all of us people going out there grinding, having these conversations, negotiating with these property owners, there are times when cash buyers will sell. Like we did, like you were saying, we made 20 grand on this, we moved on. That could have been a $400,000 house. That could be a 5% return on that money, but it's still, you made money, you kept the crews going, and you kept things moving. So all these people that think I'm crazy by saying that most investors want to make a minimum 10%, it even goes up from there. Okay, guys, this whole line that you've been fed by, the 3 or 5 old school cash buyers in your market that are like, I need it at 70% minus fix up cost, and that's the price that I need to have it at. Yes, if it's under 150,000, if it's below, above that, then it's going to be way, way, way smaller margins that they're looking to work with, because they're keeping it going. This is what they do all day long. And the more buyers you have, the more opportunities you have to sell these deals. And that means you get more deals per year.
Yeah. And one thing to touch on the other side of that is, if you're a wholesaler, you're trying to sell a house to a fix and flipper like Rahima or myself, and you're like, well, you're going to make 10 grand. You're going to make 10 grand. Number one, you're probably not underwriting it wrong. You're not counting on wholesale or selling the house with a realtor after the fact. That's a part of it. Holding costs, taxes, keeping on utilities, HOA dues. You're not counting any of that, but it's just one small mistake, one small thing. When you're
20,000 is the minimum.
Yeah. So all the time people are like, what, you're gonna make 10 grand? That's better than a kick in the pants. So you're really that greedy? And it's no, I'm probably gonna lose $1,400 when the whole thing's done.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's no buffer.
So just count on 10% return. You're trying to sell a house bare minimum to a fix and flipper, because they won't even look at it.
What's hot right now? What's working? What is something that you're just getting a lot of bang for your buck when you're putting into these properties? Is it it's always going to be floor plan, obviously, but so give us something. Give us something that's kind of
I'll tell you what it is. The buyers right now, they're looking, because they're buying at the top of what they feel like is the top of their market, right? They're scraping every bar mitzvah check. They're cashing in the bar mitzvah bonds for that down payment, right? They're going in hard. And when we can somehow integrate a new large ticket item like a roof or a HVAC or windows, if we can integrate that into our budget, that seems to be a huge thing for buyers right now. If they know that I don't have to think about this roof for 30 years, or I don't have to think about this HVAC for 25 years, or these windows. That sort of pushes them towards our property versus somebody who didn't bother to do that. So sometimes we can minimize our design. We're not married to any particular design. I know after I figure out my big ticket items, how much do I have left for my small ticket items, like flooring and paint, because those are literally the small ticket items, guys. Don't get hung up on your floor and your paint and your lights and your counters and who cares? People who buy a house, they want to make sure that the roof's not going to cave in. And if you haven't had your roofer come out and check that roof before you started spending money, you made your first mistake.
Yes.
Because you know when it'll come back? At the end of the project when they have an inspection.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, I had a roofer come out and look at it, and he's saying that it's going to cost $25,000 to fix this roof, where it was probably about $1,000 service would have fixed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you do that? Do you bring your roofer in every time?
Every time.
Every time. And then what about like the mechanicals, the heaters,
right away.
The
we
AC,
do the
plumbing.
HVAC. We do the HVAC within the first week of starting that flip. We get the HVAC serviced.
Yep.
And make sure that they're working okay. And then we do it again at the end of the flip. And people ask me, why do you do that? Because when you're painting and you're renovating a house, you have paint and dust in the duct systems, and that gets into the HVAC. And now all of a sudden, the fact that you serviced it doesn't mean anything, because the buyers are coming in. They're like, this is a dirty system. And it's not. It's only been 30 days, but it's a dirty system because of the work that you've done in that house. So you always have to service at the beginning of the project and again at the end of the project before you go to market. And then I always send my guys the day before the inspection and say, go make sure all the valves are good. Go make sure nothing's leaking. Go check the receps. Go check the GFIs. But leave a couple of recep plates off. Give the inspector something to find right when he walks in. Otherwise, this guy's going to be digging around your attic.
Yeah. Yeah. And a good thing to do too that Rahima's touching on. So this is something you can do as a fix and flipper, but as a wholesaler, what you can do is if you are going to go meet with a seller and you have a contract, and so what are you going to do? You're going to take pictures of the property so that you can go sell it. What I want you to do is make sure, paste used to crawl all over people's roofs. I'm not saying you need to do that and kill yourself, but go take a picture of the hot water heater and focus in on the part of the label where it says what year it's from. Go take a picture of the AC unit. This is something that people like Rahima and I are looking at, because a lot of these are as is. Like a lot of these fix and flips that we're buying off market are as is. So if you can go and you can make sure that you include those pictures. Some of you need lessons on how to take pictures too. Take a picture of the whole room. I don't care about the seller's personal property.
Yeah, they take a picture of the sofa.
Yeah, but please, it takes like 2 seconds to be like, hey, where's your hot water heater? And go take a picture of that. Hey, where's your AC unit? If you can't find it, if you don't want to be awkward, you don't want to be traipsing all over the seller's house while they're looking at you like you're weird. But including those in your pictures will help you sell your deal.
TTP Insider, we have a checklist. It's in the perfect offer pack. It's got a checklist of all the pictures and guides to take those pictures. Because a room, you can see a whole room if you take a picture here as opposed to here shooting down. There's just little tips. There's just little tips that'll help you out. And the reason you say that is because if you see these pictures as a cash buyer, you can make a decision faster. 100%. You're like, okay, I understand what's going on here. We can put together the budget. We want it. We're going. So that's our job, is to give them as much, over communicate what is going on with this property so that people can make a decision. Do you guys buy most of your property sight unseen, or do you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've ever been able to walk into a property before we've already committed to it.
Yeah.
I never get that luxury.
What if there's a big hole in the foundation? What if there's skeletons?
That's just it. I'm really relying on those pictures. And I'll give you an example of when that's come to bite me in the ass one time. We were working on a house. And I didn't get pictures that would have let me know that this property was a grow up, right? So I didn't get the pictures of the interior closets that would have let me know that, hey, this property is a grow up. And then when you've got a grow up, you've got all kinds of different issues with mold and HVACs and ducting. And had I known that, we probably wouldn't have taken on the project. So pictures are very important. You need to take those pictures, good, bad, and the ugly. Take them all. Don't feel like, hey, if I don't take this picture, then the buyer won't know, and then I'll be able to sell this house. Trust me, you guys don't want to get into that situation. Just be forthright and honest. You want this buyer to be your buyer forever and ever. Be forthright and honest.
Yeah. It's better just to disclose. So if you go to a property and you see some mold, take a picture of the mold, send it to the buyer.
Yeah.
It's just
nothing.
good business practices too as a wholesaler.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's an experienced fix and flipper, he knows that's just a valve or a leaky faucet, and you're going to tear out that vanity anyways. That mold doesn't mean anything because you're going to fix it.
Right.
But at least they know that this is an issue.
Yeah. And another thing too, to learn as a wholesaler too, is when Pace and I were just wholesaling, we had all these investors who were on our butts, get me in, get me in, get me in. So we'd make these appointments with these sellers. And some of these deals are kind of, they're hanging on by a thread, and then you have 60 people show up and they're telling people and other wholesalers and other daisy chainers. And then you have 60 people come over to walk through the property. It's crazy. So for all of you out there, there are people like Rahima and I that will buy a property as is. We don't need to go walk the property. We don't need to go spook your seller. We don't need to go, tick somebody off. We don't need to go ruin your deal. If you take good pictures and, we'll buy it. We'll buy it as is. We're used to that. We're used to buying stuff sight unseen.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we sell 95% of them. Yeah. We've got a question from the
from the audience.
From the audience.
Hey, Rahima.
Hey,
Good to see you again.
nice to see you.
Just wondering, knowing what you know now, what did you wish you knew when you were first starting, when you were flipping?
When I was first flipping, Jamil and I would get caught up in what we wanted it to look like, right? We were like, oh, we would want this in our house. We would want this, and and you know what? You have to differentiate your personal tastes, preferences, and wants into what's just going to sell. What's going to sell. And the best way to figure out what's going to sell is take the zip code, get on Zillow, put that zip code in and see what are the houses on the market that are in that zip code look like. How are they being finished as renovations? How long did it take for that house to sell? There's your template right there. It's not personal. It's not a legacy project. Nobody's even going to know it was you. And they're not going to remember you after 6 months after buying the house. So, do what's working for the people in that neighborhood, because you can't necessarily take designs from Colorado and make them work in New York and vice versa, right? You kind of have to look in the area that you're dealing with and what's working in the area that you're dealing with. I'm not saying don't add a little bit of pizzazz. That's, you have pizzazz, so sprinkle your pizzazz in there, or as Jamil and Pace like to say, they're razzle dazzle, but do what works, do it over and over again, and don't get emotionally invested into the project.
Thank you, Rahima.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's huge because it's like one of those things where it's like it was always difficult for me to do that, to follow that advice, because I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go drive by this house that I totally remodeled and I'm going to see it all the time. And I'm going to be so proud of how much I made and how beautiful it is and what I did for the neighborhood. And it's wonderful. And then you never drive by that house again. You never drive it. I mean,
my husband remembers where my projects were. I never remember. I'm like, sold out, done.
Yeah. The first Pace and I did, we were so emotionally attached to this house. We went over there all the time. We'd go take the kids and have dinner in the house and look at what the guys did for the day. And then we're like, oh, this needs sod in the backyard. This house is going to have a family. So we put fresh sod out there. We did all sorts of stuff. We totally over improved. At the end of it, we made 10 grand, thank gosh. But guess who it sold to? It sold to Invitation Homes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. It literally doesn't matter. So don't get emotional.
It's a faceless entity.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And then you go to the property that you put all this work and all this pride and all this love into, and they haven't done any landscaping, or they have, there's weeds everywhere. There's cars just falling apart. You're like,
oh, I know. I tell you, I did a house we used to take on partners in the beginning. Jamil and I would take on a partner. So the partner was in charge of paying for the house, to close the house or to get the hard money. It was all on them. And they had to pay for the renovation. It was my sweat, and we'd split the profits 50-50. This was back in the day here in Arizona.
Yeah.
And this guy, it was a red brick house, and he insisted that we put in sod at the beginning and the front of the house. Hi, Corbin. And I said, I don't think it's necessary. I think we can just either rock it or leave it, rake it, or leave it or rock it. I think that's all we have to do, because with sod comes irrigation. So now you're not only spending money on this, you guys all look so good. I want my t-shirt.
Wait, look at this shirt. Show him your
You
shirt.
gotta do
TGP
the
takeover.
And he
Take
just
right there.
insisted. And I went back to go get my armless box, and they literally had made that sod into a parking lot.
Oh yeah.
I didn't recognize the house
Oh yeah.
because the sod was gone. It was run over. So guys, really don't get emotionally involved. This is a business. This is just a business for you.
I would flip a house and really put all this time, and then before they moved in, they'd repaint the whole thing, in crazy colors. Like all of a sudden, this is a beautiful brick house, and we cleaned it up, and we got all the stucco off, and it's beautiful, sandblasted, and then they painted white or whatever, or painted green or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, people are going to make it their own.
Yes.
So do your best, put it out there. But if you're emotionally attached to these deals, you're going to get your heart broken more when you see what they do to it after after you're out of there.
Don't set yourself for heartbreak. Just in and out. Do your best. Put your heart in it and do your best. But then don't leave it there. Pick yourself up and go to the next one.
But this goes back to something Rahima also said, is spend the money in doing something that's like a big ticket item that will help you sell the house later. So something like roof, new AC unit, new hot water heater. These things are going to make a bigger impression and a bigger dent than Pace and I hanging up curtains and putting sod in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
So, and a more lasting thing for them. So right now in a market like this, Rahima is 100% right. Do something like that. Do a new roof, where it might cost Rahima, $6,500 to do a new roof. It's going to make a massive difference for that buyer. It's going to help us sell that house really fast. And the realtor representing the buyer too is going to think that we know our stuff, because a lot of realtors that represent buyers have no idea about the investing side. They have no idea about fix and flippers. And so they're telling your client, oh, this is another fix and flip. It's going to be shoddy work. Oh yeah, this house looks pretty on the outside. There's a lot of problems. But when they go look at a Rahima product, they know that this fix and flipper actually cares.
Yep. Guys, over 500 people watching. We want to thank you so much, especially on a national championship basketball night like tonight. You guys are here. You guys are putting in the work. You're listening to this incredible instruction and advice that these ladies are giving you, because it's spot on. I mean, you guys have it down. You guys have it down at this point, and take advantage of it. You can have this, you can leverage their experience right now by not getting emotional, by not waiting for things to come in because it fits your design plan or whatever else. Like, get these things done. Go after the big ticket items in the beginning. Make sure you know what you're up against there. Be confident in your numbers so you don't have to run over to every property that's put in front of you, and buy these properties sight unseen and go and get it done. So that's right, Carlos. NCAA doesn't pay the bills.
And two, I wanted to say, don't look at Rahima and I and be like, I could never get there. Rahima, how did Rahima start? She just started. And so everyone all the time asks how I keep up with pace. And I've decided in my life, number one, I'm on this roller coaster ride and it's good fun. But I always tell myself, because there's so much stuff that I'm like, I could never do that in another life. But right now, in the past 10 years, what I say to myself is, Nike, just do it. So just go out and do it.
And never be afraid to fail, because word doesn't even exist.
Go out and do it.
It didn't work out this time, it'll work out next time. You're always learning, and it's never a fail. It's just an opportunity to learn.
Love it.
Something you talked about on Saturday was about over improving, which you just mentioned, which I think is a good topic, because we were at a house.
Get a little bit closer.
We were at a house.
Oh, good. Sorry.
Okay. We were at a house where my thought is, wow, let's go big on the backyard. And you said, no, this is a starter house. We got to keep it minimal. And I had not thought of that before. So maybe you could just expand on that.
Absolutely. So I remember that conversation. We were at that house in Mesa, and you're like, what are you going to do in the backyard? And I said, I don't know. And you said, what do you mean you don't know? I said, because I see how much money's left, and then I make my decision. So I know I'm going to have to do something with that pool deck. I'm probably just going to fill in the couple of cracks and paint it and brighten it up with pool decking paint. And then I'm just going to clean up the backyard. And you're like, well, what are you going to do in the front yard? And I said, probably pretty well the same. I'm just going to clean it up. And you said, well, how do you do that? And I said, $600,000 right now is an entry-level house in the Valley, in Arizona Valley. So I don't really have to do so much there. Now, if I'm going to sell $1 million house, which we will, which we're actually going to do on season 2, we're going to sell a couple $1 million houses. I have no choice at that point than to pay attention to the front landscape and the back landscape. So it really depends on what am I going to sell this house for, who's my buyer, and how much do they care.
So Rahima, you were buying multifamily in Canada?
Yeah.
And then fixing those up?
Yep.
And then you came out here?
Yep.
What year was that?
2012.
When did you do your first deal out here?
2012.
So right when you got in?
Right when, I mean, Jamil was already in California. He was already making connections and figuring things out. And as soon as we got here, he's like, hey, can you flip this house? And I said, I don't even know anybody here. He's like, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And that's how it worked. Yeah.
And it was in Levine, right?
It was, the first one we did was in Tempe.
Okay.
And it was literally like, I found a guy who was a tile guy, who was an older guy, and he could do tile. And from him came my drywaller, and from my drywaller came my painter, and from my painter came my, and it just snowballed from that. It's like, I know a guy, I have a guy, or I go to the window supply company and I'm like, hey, I need a window installer. And I'm not going to call some big company to install my windows. I want to buy my windows in bulk from you. And I need to know who normally comes in here to buy windows. And I just hung around and found my window installer, and he's like my window guy.
Yep. And Rahima, you are the queen of relationships, so you're probably taking this for granted to tell everyone, but you had mentioned bringing donuts to our suppliers. But one of the reasons why you were able to, find a drywaller, find a painter, find an electrician from these people that you had made such a good connection with is because you were able to build a relationship with them. And that goes along with not only how you treat people, but also how you pay them.
Yes.
So Rahima, you've made sure that these people not only can put food on their table, but they're actually making good money by working with you.
They are
So
making
don't
good money.
nickel and dime your contractors.
Well, you might get away with it on the job that they're working on, but you're not going to see them again.
Yep.
They're not going to have the same heart that they will have if you take care of them, because they're people and they need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because in my experience, and it's just an old famous saying that really hits home with contractors, is you got speed, you got quality, and you got cost, right? You can only pick 2.
Yeah, you can't have all 3.
Right? You can only pick 2. So which ones do you guys go with? You're paying more to get it done fast?
I am paying more to get it done
It's
fast.
not the guys that are going to be in there, super long doing the is it quality? Is it 80% of people that charge double?
I want quality, and then I want speed. So I'm okay to spend an extra 20% to get the quality and the speed.
Got it. So you're spending the money to get the quality and the speed.
And I'm here to tell you that Abel, Rahima's main contractor, and he is legitimately one of her closest friends. She loves his children.
Yep.
She loves him. She treats him incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't just give him donuts, because at the end of the day, donuts only go so far. People don't want treats. They want to make money with you.
Yep.
And so Rahima's making sure that as she goes, she's making money and Abel's making money too.
Yeah. Yeah. We're looking to change lives, and not just ours. We're looking to change the lives of everybody who helps us through it. We want to help you through it. We want to change your life like you're changing our life.
How do you know a contractor is good? You know what I mean? Like,
can I tell you my hack?
Yes.
I get to know their wives.
Okay.
I have a barbecue, and I say, hey guys, let's get together. Let's have a barbecue. And if you have some other people that do work, like if you have a Tyler or a painter and you want to bring them in, bring them over, and I usually will rent a truck, or I'll rent a caterer. They'll make tacos, and we'll have a good time. And I get to know the wives. I don't sit with the guys. I sit with the wives.
That's huge.
And I almost always hire married men.
Right.
I need them. I need to know that they have a reason to show up to work every day.
Yep. That's incredible. And so is it once a year? Is it twice a year? Is it quarterly? Is it,
we generally have definitely a big Christmas party, and that's where we get some new trades will come in around Christmas, right? Because the new year is starting, and they're thinking, hey man, this boss actually had a party for the workers, so maybe we do that. Maybe we come onto this crew for a bit and see what's going on. We do summer barbecues. If we've had 10 really hard houses, I'll say, hey, well, let's take out some money. Let's treat everybody else and make sure their wives come. And I sit with the wives and just make sure that everybody's happy, everybody's feeling good about what their husbands are doing and making sure that they're showing up to work every day.
Love
That's
it.
not to say, Brett, that I don't have faith in men. I do.
Oh, I get it.
But it's nice to know that
you don't have to explain it to me. I get it. No, I totally get it. But I mean, I think that it's wonderful. And not only that, like, how many other people are doing that?
I don't know. I think
so if you get a job and somebody else gets a job and they're going to pay the same amount, who's getting that deal? Who's getting the work done? You are.
Right.
You are. Have a guys, if you're going to get into the world of flipping and you love that model and you want to get into that, twice a year barbecues with your contractors and their family, that is a wonderful, wonderful cheat code. I mean, it is.
And some beer.
Yeah. Tons of beer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%.
That is just absolutely incredible. And they feel like they're part of your company. They feel like they're part of your team.
So when you ask them to come in on a Sunday, because I got to get this done before Monday, they come in on a Sunday. You know, they don't think of it like, no, I'm not doing it. They think, no, I'm part of this group. I'm part of this family. I'm part of this team. I'm in. Let's do it. Well, what do we got to do?
Yeah.
I love it. What are you doing in Vegas, by the way?
What am I doing in Vegas? Oh, I went to the Grammys.
What?
Yeah.
I was at the Grammys yesterday.
I know. Rahima was like texting me about an appraisal, and then I was like, she's like, oh yeah, I'm driving to Vegas. And I was like, what for? And just casually, the Grammys. And I was like, that's normal. Yeah.
So the Grammys as like just an audience member, or
I was
nominated for something?
You didn't see me. I was singing right after Justin Bieber.
I love it.
You like Justin
I have
Bieber?
a few friends in the music industry, and I'm like, hey, if you ever get extra tickets to the Grammys, I'd love to take my daughter to the Grammys. And he's like, I got tickets and it's in Vegas. You coming? I'm like, I'm in. And so we went to the Grammys and we got to watch all those excellent performers up close and personal.
Someone hacked my Instagram, so I can't see
saw
what's
that.
going
That's
on, but I
horrible.
want to see what you wore and what the shoes are. If anyone doesn't follow Rahima, follow her just for the shoes.
It's a small shoe problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome. What about rentals, Rahima? You play in that space?
Yeah, I do. I have some rentals. Actually, I have some rentals that I rent out, and I have others that I bought that I sell on seller finance. So, for example, recently I bought one for $100,000. I put in 20, so I mean, it was 120, right? And all I did for that 20 is I changed the AC. I fixed. It was a condo, so I didn't have to worry about the roof. But I changed the AC. I changed the windows, and I cleaned it up. And I put in new cabinetry and new plumbing. That's all I did. I didn't do any design work. I didn't care about any of that. And then I found somebody who was willing to buy it for $240. So I paid $120 all in. They're doing $240, but they obviously it's not worth $240 because I just got it for $120. It's maybe worth $160, but they can't qualify in the regular conventional financing world. So I'm holding their note at 9%. At 30 years, and I've already taken my $100,000 right off the top.
Right.
Yep. And this is such an untapped market, what she's talking about, because these people usually are self-employed or they're not from this country. They can't qualify for a mortgage for whatever reason. And so you're giving them the ability to become homeowners and to not rent. And then you're also creating a situation, it's like truly a win-win, but you're also creating a situation to where this isn't a rental. So you're not going over there and fixing a leaky faucet in the middle of the night.
Right.
They're homeowners.
Yeah, they're on title.
Home now.
They're on title. So you don't call Chase Bank when your toilet's clogged. You don't call me. You know, I'm your lender. I'm not your landlord.
Yep. So she's turned herself into her lender. She's made, a good profit, and she's given a family or a person who can't buy a home out of the rental rat race, and now they're actually a homeowner because of Rahima. And 9% is still a great interest rate.
It's not
I know
a bad
that we're all
interest rate,
spoiled, but that's still a good interest rate historically. So she is doing a really good job, and that's an amazing thing to do. And there's not a lot of people out there who are doing that. So if you haven't thought about doing that, or if you have a traditional rental that the year lease is coming up due and they're not going to renew, think about doing something that she just described. Do a seller finance.
You know where I learned that? I learned that from Pace.
Yeah.
He was talking about selling his truck and how he couldn't get somebody to buy it outright. And he's like, but I could get somebody to make payments. And I thought, hey, wait a second. I'm going to do that. It was the best mastermind I ever went to. It was sitting at Pace Morby's mastermind. It was awesome.
That's your dad.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hi, Corbin.
Been asking to go on
Monday's talking.
stage all day, and so here she is. She's not even paying attention.
How was
Say
your
hi,
nap?
Rahima.
Did you have a good nap?
Say yeah.
Yeah.
She wants a snack.
What's a
Oh.
snack?
She sees
We're
you.
working on
She
that.
knows that you've got snacks usually. So
Oh,
for
yeah,
her,
yeah. You're right. I should have snacks for you. I'm sorry.
she's gone. She needs to come home.
How
She's
much?
in Vegas.
How much time do you guys spend on the phone a day?
Oh my gosh, Rahima,
real.
way more than me. I mean, oh gosh, I feel like I'm pretty much always on the phone. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Rahima?
Yeah, I'm on the phone from my working hours from like 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. I'm on the phone. But 7 p.m. hits and I don't look at the phone. I'm done.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. But I think it's really important. Like, I remember just sitting around when I had lost everything and I just wasn't doing anything. I wasn't talking to anybody. And I was like, okay, I need to do something. I'm going to just go knock on doors to just talk to somebody. I know that this is moving me in the right direction, building some momentum. And I think, everybody out there, whether this is a side hustle or whether it's full-time or whatever else, this is a portal. This is a portal to all of those financial things that you want, all the financial dreams and goals
Yes.
and everything. It all comes down to you communicating effectively with people, whether they be contractors, whether they be agents trying to buy the properties or wholesalers selling the properties, whether it be people, us out there talking to distressed property owners or the people that represent them. You gotta be on the phone all the time.
I love that TTP is talk to people. I love that.
Right.
You're not just talking to them on the phone. The fact that you're so charismatic and you're talking to people face to face all the time is a lot to do with how successful you are. Right? You're there, you're in front of them, you're talking to them, they see that smile, they're disarmed, and you're making that conversation and doing business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And speaking from, if somebody's watching this and you're not necessarily comfortable on the phone, my first job, I had such a hard time even saying, hi, how's your day? And I was a teller at a bank, and I had a customer come up to me. I did the transaction. I handed them their receipt, and they go, let me speak to your manager. My manager came over and was like, what's the problem? She's rude. Your employee is rude.
Sure.
And so after he apologized, they left, and he said, you know what? You're one of the nicest people I've ever met. I know that's not true, but you cannot not talk to people. So I'm going to sit behind you, and all I want you to say is, hi, how's your day? And so these are skills that can be cultivated. And I cold called, like me, of all people, and I got deals done. I made money. And so, like, if you think that you don't have it, if you're looking at Brent, like, of course, look at him, so charismatic, sounds great, has a good voice, he's not afraid.
And then he's got that hair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we both have the hair, but anybody can do it. So I'm living proof. You just have to do it. Nike, just do it. Just get started, get on the phone, sound like an idiot, trip over your words. You will figure it out 100%.
Absolutely, you will. My first job was actually, I used to sell long distance plans and high-speed internet over the telephone.
I love that.
Jamil and I both did it. We worked for a telephone company.
Well, and listen, like, you guys are both unbelievable communicators. You know what I mean? Like that helps. Was that a family thing? Are you guys both like is your whole family?
Jamil's definitely the master communicator, and I'm just sort of taking notes.
I would just say, listen, all respect to Jamil, you crush.
He's never brought me donuts before.
Yeah. Listen, if it comes down to Jamil or you on an appointment, I'm taking you every time.
Oh, I love it.
I'm taking you every time.
I love
it. You're gonna have like their date of births. You're gonna have their all their kids' information. You're gonna be
I love it.
Yeah.
No, I mean that stuff really matters. But people don't, Rahima, it's so important to bring heart to this business. You know what I mean? Bring actual compassion for what people are going through. And these people are our neighbors. Like, if you really want to go crazy with it, 400 trillion to 1 odds that any human being is here, right? I mean, that's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
So everybody's walking around saying, make me feel important. Just make me feel important. And you go out there and you make them feel important. And that is the underlying skill of everything that we do.
Mhm.
It's the underlying skill. And if you do that, you win. You can't lose if you go there with that servant's heart and really go to make people feel important. That's what you're doing by doing this thing.
Absolutely.
You know, by
100%.
talking to the neighbors, by bringing them donuts, by
100%.
doing barbecues, by
Absolutely
meeting
right.
the wives, right?
Yep.
It's the little things. And I think, and I'll just say from my perspective as a man, sometimes we forget about those things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We're so like head down, chop wood, run around. I gotta win. Tump, tump, tump. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to really you gotta let your brain kind of turn off for a second, turn your heart on, and let it take over. You know, really be compassionate out there.
Yeah. And that's one of the most satisfying things that we actually do in our business is wholesale, because you are meeting sellers, and sellers aren't giving away equity for nothing. They're giving away equity for some sort of pain, and just being able to help somebody is incredibly emotionally fulfilling. And it also reminds you how blessed you are. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
we're all here and we are helping people, and it's a really good feeling.
And that's why this business is so incredible.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we look at it because we've been in it for so long that, sometimes we don't really remember what it was like before we had real estate. And then you get into real estate and you're like, oh my gosh, like I am in the driver's seat here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like there's the only thing I won't do is stop. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing that I can't do is stop this business.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the two most inspirational people in your studio today. Right? I mean, their whole lives are so inspirational. They get to travel around the world. They're making money. They're doing everything that they want to do in life. Who gets that? And they're doing it with real estate. I love that.
Yeah.
So I just, this business is fantastic. There's so many different ways to go about it, but you got to focus.
Yeah.
You got to focus. You really got to. I really encourage everybody that this first year, find out how to find the deals. Unless you have a good budget, unless you have a good experience, unless you come from a family that, can kind of guide you down the path, give you the blueprint.
Got that family name or
Ugly
something.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Manny's right about the tiny version of Pace here.
Oh, yeah.
Ugly houses, big checks.
Yeah.
That's it. Just go for that. Build up your confidence there. And then as you start feeling that pull to be more creative and to do the flips, then start investigating that. But set this up first.
Yeah.
Set it up first.
And feel confident too that you like what we offer, we can help people. Like we are actually helping people, and we have the solutions to get it done. So that's a huge motivation for you to get on the phone and start talking to people, because that is true. There are people out there that need help. And the only way that they can have help and get out of a bad situation is something that we can provide, something that we know, and we take it for granted. We think that everyone can figure out a way out of their problems, and that's not always the case.
Absolutely.
So get out there and get on the phones for sure.
And if you do decide you do want to flip the house, and you need help, just get on my Instagram, DM me. I'm always willing to answer questions. If you want to FaceTime me a property and say, hey, what do you think? What would you do here? I'm happy to help. So what's my Instagram handle? Rahima something B. I don't know. I think it's Rahima B.
Yeah. Can you put it on the show? I'll have it up. We're going to put it in the comment section, guys.
There you go. Perfect.
That is incredible. Oh,
that's it. Rahima B. There, perfect.
Yeah, there it is. That is an incredible resource for everybody out there.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
That is good. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Any final thoughts, ladies?
Oh my gosh, I'm just so blown away. This is honestly my favorite thing that Pace does. I love this. I love Drake. This whole thing is just 10 out of 10. I love it. But I am so happy to be here. I am honored that you would even allow me here. But I love this. And Rahima, I love you. You're beautiful.
I love you.
Tell Ingrid where that jacket is later.
Yeah.
So the next time, if I would love to come back. If you ever have us come back, I definitely want one of those T-shirts. I'm coming to the studio, and I want to be on that team.
Done.
All right.
And done. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
You both are incredible. Thank you for this. Is one of the best.
What an awesome opportunity to
Jerry
be able
Warren's been on here saying something.
Yeah, so handsome, so handsome.
All right, guys. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye, honey.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know. I
Okay.
forgot. So squad up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.